All right, guys. Well, it looks like it's 1:30 on my camera. That's my phone, slash phone. It's 1:30, so let's go ahead and get started. So I want to welcome you all to our new webinar format, a resource pop-up. This is sort of a new activity for us to try to share information about some really good resources that either we've created or some that we've come across, and to do it in a 30-minute slot. So our goal today is to kind of review a couple resources. We're going to walk through a free PDF that we've put together with a great work group that helped us put this together. So we'll walk through that, but I'm going to give you some other links to some other good resources all around helping your staff, your colleagues, maybe students, if any of you are faculty or have students this semester, help them think about how to use coaching and natural learning environment practices on an ongoing basis. So that's kind of our goal today. But before we get started, I want to show you guys, make sure you know how to use the tool that we are in today. So we're using the Zoom platform, which is pretty handy. But it may be new to some of you all. So if you haven't been in Zoom before, I just want to make sure you know where the most important buttons are. Now, if you look on your screen, you're going to be seeing my slides. You won't be seeing that Zoom logo throughout the presentation today. This is just because I'm screen sharing. But at the bottom of your screen, hover your cursor down by the bottom, and a black bar will pop up. The black bar will look something like the example on the screen here. You can press the participants button to see the list of participants, which is kind of handy if you want to take a look and see who all is on here with us. But the most important button is the chat button. So when you hover your cursor, find that black bar. When you see the chat button, click on that button because it will open the group chat window, which will allow you to be able to communicate with me and communicate with your other participants on the webinar today. So it's pretty awesome to have that available. So what I want you to do is we're going to try out our chat button. Try out your chat button by typing into chat for me how you use reflection in your program now, because we're going to be talking a lot about the importance of reflection in our resources today. So I want you to think about, how are you reflecting with your staff about their practices? How do you do it as an individual, maybe as a supervisor? Yeah, like when does it happen? We've got M. Panther says supervision. So she's doing it, he or she's doing it in supervision. Corey suggests, yep, staff supervision. Sometimes that happens one-on-one, right? Sometimes we do group supervision. It just depends. Hi, Anna. She says guided reflective at staff meetings. Great. Yeah, you can do it in that group setting. Jen says supervision with staff, one-on-one and team meetings. So they've kind of got it in multiple ways. And Dina says team meetings. So those are awesome options, and the resource I'm going to share with you today can be used and adapted to those different places. Now, something I forgot to do, in case you don't know me, my name's Dana Childress. I work with the Integrated Training Collaborative Project at the Partnership for People with Disabilities at VCU. So I'm part of our training team, and a lot of what we do is resource development. So we're pretty excited to have a way now to come up with some good resources, or maybe even stumble across them that other states have developed, and share them with you, not just to say, here it is, this is great, but also to help you think about how you can use it. So that's the direction we're going in today. So as we move through talking about this resource, I challenge you to think, how could I use this tomorrow? And I see your message. Hi, Kim. I'm glad you're there too. So this resource is going to look familiar to Kim and some others. This is the resource we're going to focus on today. This is a free PDF. And I'm going to show you where to find this on our site in a few minutes. But this PDF, the goal of this PDF was to provide ongoing support for local programs to help their providers and service coordinators use coaching and natural learning environment practices. Long title, which is sort of my fault probably because I helped write this, but it's really, this document's all about guidance for facilitating reflection with individuals or groups. And so you're going to see, I'm going to take you through the document in a minute so you can see what all is in there and how it can help you. Lisa has kindly pasted the direct link into chat. So if you want to jump ahead and go ahead and take a look at the document, you're welcome to. But again, I'm going to show you around in just a second. So one thing I want you to know is this guide was not just an effort of me or our professional development team. This guide came out of discussions from one of our state systemic improvement plan, which is also called the SSIP. One of our work groups really focuses on coaching and natural learning environment practices. So initially, our work in that work group focused on just resources to lay a foundation. So we all understood coaching and understood what good EI practice looks like. In the last year or so, we sort of switched to thinking about how do we help programs help their staff keep it going, because knowing about coaching, knowing about natural learning environment practice is great, but if you don't use them all the time and use them and adapt them to support different families, you use them differently on every visit, it can be kind of hard to keep the momentum going. So we wanted to develop a resource that you guys could use in your local programs just to help provide that ongoing support, because the research pretty strongly suggests that you guys as local system managers, local program supervisors, you are the most important cog in the wheel when it comes to ongoing support for staff, when we want to have staff using high quality practices. So pretty cool that the role you play, and we want to help support you do that. So when you think about this guide, it's all about reflection. So reflection can happen two ways, right? Some of you mentioned you do reflection, one-on-one reflection. Sometimes that reflection is planned. You know, you have a appointment monthly maybe or weekly with your staff person to meet and talk about how things are going. Sometimes that supervision is more clinical. It can be more like, how many kids did you see this week? Your timesheets. For today, we're talking more about a reflective supervision type of an approach, which involves open-ended questions and helping that your staff person think through what they're doing and why they're doing it and what they want to do differently. You can also accomplish the same thing in more of a group setting, and we had some of you guys mention staff meetings. If you are a leader or supervisor, or maybe just a regular old person that does the job, right? Those really important people, knowing how to help facilitate reflection during those group meetings can really help everybody in the group grow in their practices. You guys know, adult learners, we don't like to be told what to do, but if somebody helps me think through what I'm doing and why, that can be pretty powerful. And as a supervisor talking to a staff person, the staff person always has more information than you ever do as a supervisor to help problem solve the challenge. So reflection can be really helpful to help work there. And in fact, it is quite essential to staff development. Reflection helps your staff think about, what do I do? Because often we just do it, right? Why am I doing it? How did I do it? Those are really important questions. But it also helps us identify, wait a minute, I need help. This is something I'm struggling with. How can I improve my practices? Maybe I did great on this visit, but now I need to think about how can I use what I did well there with other families. So reflection can really help. It's almost like a metacognition thing. It helps you think about thinking, think about doing, which is really how we change practices. We know from professional development research, from coaching research, that it's essential if we want to change practices. We have to have active participation in thinking about the work, and we need reflection to think about not only the current work, kind of to reflect on previous experience, think about what we're doing now, and plan for what we want to do next. So it's super important. The key with reflection, though, is that it doesn't happen one time. It really needs to happen on an ongoing basis. So that's why we developed the guide. So you're going to see your screen change. I'm going to switch to the web so I can walk you through the guide, and we'll take a look at what that looks like. First off, I'm going to show you where to find it on our site. So if you're not familiar with our Professional Development Center site, you can see the URL up here at the top. VEIPD.org/main gets you to the home page, which is where we are now. So in order to find the guide, you can use the search feature. The search feature is recently improved on our site, so now you should be actually able to find what you need, which is helpful. But you can also find it by hovering on topics and tools, scrolling down to topics and trends, and then that will bring you to all of our topic pages, a list. So you'll go to coaching and early intervention, and then if you scroll down, it's right there. It's under the handouts tab, which is always the first tab open on the topic pages. And then it's easily recognizable by not only the image, but the really long title. So let's take a look at the guide and see, this is what you'll see when you click it open. I do want you to see that this is a free download. So you can download the PDF, you can print it. If you find there's things in the PDF that you'd like to pull apart, you're welcome to email me and I can send you pieces, you know, to help you be able to use the guide more effectively. But it's a freebie, so take advantage of it. So I'm going to show you the PDF version and we are going to walk through it. So this is the cover page. What you'll see, we developed this in 2000 or released it in 2018 in December, but we're really wanting to support you guys in using it. So I am going to zoom up on the visuals so you can see it, because we don't need to squint, right? Hurt our eyeballs today. So what I'm going to do is kind of scroll down a couple pages and just show you how the guide works. Actually, make that a little smaller. So you can see the guide was really built, like I said, with the individual and the group reflection in mind. We took advantage of some really awesome stuff that was already happening in 2 local programs in Virginia, Fairfax and Loudoun. We're already running basically group reflective practice activities. So they shared their processes with us and we've adapted them into this booklet. So that was really awesome, that great things were already happening. We've just kind of packaged it to offer it to everyone else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through the different types of reflection in here so you can at least see what's in here. My challenge to you is to be thinking about how could you use this with your staff? Because after we go through the different components of this guide, I'm going to ask you that to share it in chat. But feel free to share your ideas or ask any questions as we go along. So let's look at the individual reflection first. First, you'll see the overview page. This page has quite a few hyperlinks. These are links to documents that if you need to lay a foundation about coaching and natural learning environment practices with your staff, these are good places to start. I would suggest to you that in order to run a reflection group like we're talking about here, it's best if your staff have already had exposure to the practices. So maybe they're observing visits or they've actually started doing it, because you need to have that something to reflect on, right? So that makes sense. All right, so here we go. So our reflective practice feedback form. With the individual reflection, we wanted to give you a tool to guide your experience with that person one-on-one. So this form is really designed to be used with a practitioner following an observation of a visit. You're going to, that observation could be an observation of a peer or a mentor. Maybe you have a new staff person or a student that's observing. You can use this feedback form. Or maybe you're going to use it to facilitate some self-reflection from the practitioner who actually conducts the visit. And then that practitioner could fill out the form and then bring it to supervision, bring it to the staff meeting, and then use it for discussion. So the form's really designed to help your staff or your student, your colleague, think about what did they see and what was their reaction to it, and then do some planning. So let's take a look at the form and I'll tell you what whoa means when we get there. All right, I'm gonna make this a little tinier so we can see all of it. So our WHOA reflective practice feedback form, the W stands for what did you observe? What happened during the visit? If you want somebody to jot it down on this, you can print this out and copy it out of the booklet. Keep it short, right? 20 words or less. But if it's a discussion, you know, sometimes people need to talk about the visit in more than 20 words. The H is how did you react? So like get in touch with sort of what was it like for you while you observed this? Which leads us to the next session, the next question. Okay, time to reflect. How did you feel about what you saw or what happened? What did you think about it? And most importantly, why? Why do you think you felt it? Why do you think you thought that? So help your person dig in a little bit more, because that's where we get that deeper understanding of our practices. And then our last, our A here, is an aha moment, kind of your so what or your now what. What are the next steps? What do you want to do differently? What's your do-over? Gosh, we've all had home visits where we've had, I wish I could have a do-over on that one. Or what resources do you need to support you, which is great information for the supervisor to have. Or a peer mentor. How else can that person be supported to move towards success? So that's kind of a cool option. This is a form, like I said, can be used in lots of different ways. If you don't want to have your staff actually actively fill it out because you're thinking they're never going to have time to do this, Maybe use it as a discussion guide at your next supervision meeting. So that's another idea, or discussion guide, even to help facilitate sharing stories about coaching at a staff meeting. We have a program in Crater that is reserving 15 minutes at every staff meeting for the folks to share coaching stories. So they could be a celebration, a success, something a service coordinator saw on a visit or did when they were talking to a family, something another type of practitioner did. But it also allows time for challenges to bubble up and be discussed. So coaching stories, I really love that. All right, let's look at our first group option. So group reflection option A. This type of reflection group is really all about scheduling a regular time for practitioners to come together. And during that time, they get to problem solve, they get to reflect, they share their stories, and they can give and receive feedback from their peers, all about their practices. So it's a non-judgmental, safe time to come together to get support. This type of option A here doesn't really focus on any specific pre-planned topic, but it's sort of a wide open opportunity for support. We've recommended that it's about a 60-minute activity, but that's going to depend on your group size, how deep you get into discussions, whether you have talkers in your group, you know how that works. One thing I want to share a resource with you, if you've not facilitated groups before for reflection and you're like, I want to do this, but I'm not sure how, we found a really awesome resource online that's available for free. So I'm going to show you this facilitating reflection document. We didn't develop this. It looks like folks from Georgetown and the University of Vermont put this together, but it's another free PDF. It's called, you can see, Facilitating Reflection, and it's really built around how to do this, and it's nice that they've targeted a similar field, right? So in this guide, you're going to find information about why it's important. You can see here, reflection is a vital component of service learning. You're going to find information, tips for facilitating reflection, how to get started. The reflection circle chapter is all about how to set the room up to facilitate that kind of safe environment, and then other activities. So it's a super cool resource to use if you're new to this kind of work. Let's go back to our, not back to our slides, back to our document. So for this group A, for the option A group, we've provided you with a sample agenda. You're going to welcome people, right? That makes sense. And you're going to start the meeting, now not the first meeting, this would be subsequent meetings, but with updates on action plans. So in this meeting, we don't sort of call them joint plans, but it's the similar idea for the types of planning we do with families. At the end of each meeting, your audience or your group will verbalize or some way share their plan for how to take what they learned during the meeting and use it between meetings. So you would start with updates, maybe have everybody share how things have been going, what did they do on, based on their action plan over the last week or month, whatever. If there's a big crowd, you could just ask for some volunteers just to highlight some action plans. You could also have everybody jot them down on a sticky note and put them in a jar, put them up on the wall somewhere where folks can look at them. It's just a great way for accountability in a positive way, because who doesn't love sharing an action plan that you have success with? You'll spend the bulk of your meeting then in collaborative problem solving, reflection, and feedback on practice. So this is where the facilitator opens the meeting up and invites folks to share those stories or specific situations to invite brainstorming, problem solving, and feedback. I would encourage the facilitator to set some boundaries with the participants and ask them to be ready to share an overview of the situation, keeping it brief, which is hard, keeping it brief, and then one question for group reflection. So your folks it's a good way to help them organize their thoughts before the meeting and to try to control so that you don't spend 40 minutes talking about one specific situation. And then you wrap that meeting up with action planning, inviting everybody to reflect about the meeting and their practices and concretely set a goal for what do they want to do differently or maybe do that they weren't doing before on their visits after the meeting. So that is option A. Let's take a look at option B. So group reflection option B is similar, except for there's the addition of a little bit more of a structured topic discussion. So this type of reflection group uses sort of a combination approach. You're going to have time for folks to share their stories and get feedback, but there's also time to reflect on a specific topic. So let's take a look at that. So we have set up a multi-session plan for you to help you reflect with your folks about the 5 characteristics of coaching. We've set it up as a 5-session plan, whether that's 5 sessions across 5 months, or you want to do it once a week, or maybe periodically in your staff meetings. That's up to you, but we wanted you to have the tools to make this work. So let's take a look at the first session plan. So this first session plan, again, starts with the welcome, the brief updates about action plans. Now, if you have your first session, you may or may not have action plans, depending on what you did before this. But you're going to spend about 20 minutes or so, timing doesn't matter, that's up to you as a facilitator, introducing the 5 characteristics. And so we have put in here hyperlinks to ideas and resources to help you do that. So there are links here to 2 really cool videos from the Making Access Happen coaching support page. If you haven't checked that one out, I would highly recommend it. They're videos that were developed with Dathan Rush and Melissa Sheldon, where they dig into some key ideas around coaching. We have another article, Coaching Quick Reference Guide, and our Virginia Coaching and Action Checklist. You don't have to use all of these, but these resources are there for you to pick and choose what's most relevant to your learners. There's actually a new video series that I'm almost liking even more. I love the Making Access Happen stuff, but I'm going to show you when we're done with our sessions, or talking about our options, I'm going to show you another site that didn't make it into the manual where you can find some good videos. So hold out. I'm going to show it to you in a second. So after you introduce the topic, maybe watch that video or talk about the article, you have resources to help you facilitate reflection and feedback around that topic. So lots of open-ended reflection questions. My 2 favorite here are these. Which of the 5 characteristics do you feel most comfortable with? Which of the 5 characteristics do you feel least comfortable with, and why? Those are nice for balancing a discussion. People that feel really comfortable with, say, the practice part can support the people who on the next question say, I'm really struggling to get this parent to practice during the session. So you can, the idea for these groups is not for the facilitator to provide the answers, but to get the group discussing and supporting and problem solving together. So you do that, then you transition to that collaborative problem solving, feedback, reflection piece where it's the open discussion again, and then you wrap the session up again with action planning. So this gives you 2 group options, and you can pick the option that's most relevant to your learners. So now's your turn. I want you to type into chat for me and let me know which of these options feels like something you might do. Let me, if you're thinking the individual reflection form, cool, let me know how you might use that. If you're thinking option A, it would fit your learners better, or option B, type it into chat and let me know what you're thinking. I would love to have some thoughts. I know some of you, Anna and Kim, have already got this kind of stuff going. So any tips you guys have for helping people be successful with facilitating these groups would be really appreciated too. So again, hover your cursor at the bottom of your screen, look for the black bar, then look for the little chat bubble, click that bubble, and then type into chat your thoughts about the individual form, option A and option B, and which you can see trying to use in your program. And thanks, Lisa has put some more links in the chat, so you can find those. I see, looks like Megan has asked, is this PDF going to be shared? Megan, the PDF was already linked into the announcement, the first email you got that you used to sign up for this. It was also linked in the login email yesterday, and you can find it on our website. So if you have any trouble finding it though, Megan, just shoot me an email and I will send it to you, so no problem. So Erica says, we would have staff complete the individual reflection form prior to coming to the meeting. That's a cool idea, Erica, so you can combine the form with one of those other options for the meeting, or the form maybe with before your staff meeting or supervision meeting. That's a great idea. What are some other ideas? So Jen says she likes option B with an exclamation point. I love it. She likes the structure of the topic areas. Yep, to get the conversation flowing, right. And then could see this beneficial in a small group setting. Yeah, definitely. Anna says, preparing your group for learning is always important. They often prep their staff prior to the reflection activity. So that's fantastic. Anna, that's almost like what Erica's talking about. You could use the individual form as a way to prep staff. This morning, when we did this webinar this morning, somebody suggested they might try to use option B, but first to build that capacity, build the knowledge around the 5 characteristics, and then transition to option A without the topics over time. And I thought that was another kind of creative way to adapt these options to whatever works for you. Awesome. We'll keep any more ideas, feel free to pop them into chat. Looks like we've got about 5 minutes left. So like I promised, I wanted to make sure to show you this other cool resource, these other videos. So your screen's going to change as I go back to the web. So here are these other cool videos. They're linked to our website. They are not linked in the PDF I just showed you, but when we revise the PDF, they're going to land there. So these videos were released in like May or March or something, one of those M months, by the Hartford Foundation and Connecticut's Birth to 3 program. And here's what's super cool about them. They worked with Dathan and Melissa again. You find a 20-minute video, and it's actually available. You can find them through YouTube. They're embedded through YouTube. This is 22 minutes. That's the full video. But here's what I really love. They took the video and they chopped it up into chapters. So you have shorter versions, and their shorter versions focus on the 5 characteristics of coaching. So there's a specific video for joint planning, observation, practice. Now these videos are early childhood, so you see different kinds of early childhood settings, but you do see an example of early intervention, and you see an example of a coach working with a practitioner, which is kind of awesome too. So let me see if this is a really, oh, Lisa, thank you. She put the URL in chat. You can find these by searching Foundations of Coaching video. If you Google that, usually you can find it pretty easily too. Or you can click Lisa's link in the chat and bookmark the page. So I'm pretty happy about these videos. I hope you'll try them out. One other set of videos, now I think about it, I was going to show you too, are for service coordinators. So on our website, you can go to our videos page or our service coordination topic page, and you can find a brand new set of videos we just put out that focuses on how service coordinators use coaching. So you've got a non-example, which is pretty funny, about the service coordinator talking to the parent and not using coaching. In fact, when we used these videos at the conference, at the Virginia conference this summer, we were told the service coordinator should be fired. So our service coordinators, who are our actresses, did such a fantastic job. They showed non-coaching, and then they showed a beautiful example of coaching. So check them out. We also had 2 service coordinators let us record them talking about how service coordinators use coaching. So these are great resources when you're thinking about supporting your staff. Make sure you're bringing service coordination and coaching into the mix too. So I am thinking that is about it. Here are, these are, yep, I covered everything on here. The reflection manual, Lisa put that in chat. The coaching support learning community videos. If you Google Making Access Happen coaching support, you will find it. I just showed you the other 2 videos. So those are some additional resources in addition to the PDF. If you leave this and your head is spinning, because this was 30 minutes, just shoot me an email and I can send you links to any of these or help you find them. And here is my email address at the bottom. If you have questions, feedback, other ideas, visit our site and let us know. These pop-ups are going to be popping up periodically as we have great resources to share. One thing for you to know is after today, sometime today, you will receive an email that invites you to fill out a quick survey to give us feedback. Because the resource pop-ups, these are our inaugural pop-ups, so we would love to have any feedback about what you liked, what you didn't like, or suggestions for improving them for next time. So please take a few minutes and fill out that survey. But I think it's 1:59. I'm going to keep the chat open. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to type them into chat. If not, you guys are ready to get on with the rest of your day, so thanks for joining us, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.